Hey everybody, welcome back to Virtual Massage by JMarie. I hope everyone is happy and healthy. I want to start today off by saying thank you so much to everyone who has reached out. It is so fantastic to know that I work with amazing human beings all the time, and it truly means the world to me. So I hope you're all doing great. And in the meantime, while I can't work with you in person, we're going to open up this channel and we're going to start addressing things. I know I said I was going to do this a couple weeks ago, and actually, believe it or not, I've been trying, but it turns out I really suck at making videos, and they've been really boring thus far, so I'm going to try and be a little bit more animated and not just reading off of a script. So I think I've done this so many times, I have things memorized, but if I start rambling like I am now, sorry. All right, posture it is. So what we're going to do first is look at our standing posture and posture in general. So a couple of cues that I want you to pay attention to, and hopefully that will help you if you have a standing desk at home or just in general in life, what you should be looking for to try and hold proper posture. The points I want you to really pay attention to are head and neck, shoulders, hips, and knees. All right, the first thing that we're going to talk about is head and neck posture. And one of the reasons why this is so important is because if you don't maintain the correct posture with your head and neck, you end up giving yourself headaches, you can have jaw pain, you can do a lot of just random neck pains. It can also transfer down your body. So the first thing that we're going to pay attention to is where our ears are in comparison to our shoulders. So the first measurement is the tip of your earlobe to the top of your shoulders. And a lot of people will end up being up here, believe it or not, like regularly, because if you're typing, you're here. If you're mad, if you're excited or angry, a lot of times we do this, or if you're cold. And obviously the last couple of days has been pretty cold. So one thing we want to remember is actually to push our arms down. And the point that I use to pay attention to this is where my elbow is. Okay, so I want to push my elbows down towards the floor, and you'll see that these traps here, they drop. Okay, so if I'm up here, it's not like it's right next to my earlobes, but they're a little bit higher, and it makes me a little bit more excited or cautious. And then when I push my elbows down, you can see they drop like 1 inch to 1.5 inches sometimes. So we're going to do that measurement first, and then second, what I really want you to pay attention to is where your ears are in comparison to your shoulders from the side. So you're going to find a mirror and you're going to go to see what you can. It's really hard to look at it from this angle, but if you can get another mirror and show yourself, we really want to see your chin tucked. Now if you pay attention, my chin is tucked, but it's not tipped. So we're looking for the push to go backwards, not down and not up. A lot of people, when I walk them through this, they do a lot of up to get back there, but we want to try and keep our chin level, parallel with the floor, and our eyes straight forward. The second thing we want to really pay attention to in posture are our shoulders and in relation to our chest. A lot of times what we end up doing as humans is gravitating towards whatever we're looking at, which again I've already said, and that affects our neck. But what it also does is it pulls and rounds our shoulders in. So we end up getting this hunch forward, okay? And what we want to try and do is bring everything back. So we're engaging muscles in our back to hold us that way. The ways that you can really see this in me is I do already have that internal shoulder rotation. It's not quite as bad as you would normally see it in a lot of folks because I've worked really hard at it over the years, but it's still there. So the way that you see it on me is you look at the creases in my shoulders that go towards my armpits. You can see those in the shirt. So when I change my shoulder positioning and I retract my shoulder blades, which means I'm pulling them backwards, and the middle of them will go closer towards my spine, and the points at the bottom will go down towards my butt a little bit. And when I do that movement, you can see those go away. Okay, so that's number 2. I'm going to show you what it looks like from the side now. This is a rounded shoulder from the side. You also see it, I end up hunching forward a little bit, okay? Even if I'm straight up and down and my shoulders are hunched, this is the difference that you're gonna see when I move them. Again, it's really slight. Here's hunched. Here's the tuck. And again, when you see me, when I come forward towards you, there are no creases here. This is probably one of the most important things that we're going to talk about, and that is hip positioning. This affects just about everything in your body. The majority of us are going to have an anterior pelvic tilt. I have it. So I'm going to show you on the side. What you can see is that you'll see this angle here, my butt, and you'll see there's an angle going up with my stomach, going up and out, and another one coming down. All right, so as I correct my tilt, you're gonna see them go away. And what I'm doing is I'm tucking my hips underneath the rest of my body by engaging my glutes and my hamstrings. So squeeze your butt, squeeze the back of your legs together, and you'll see those two things adjust. Okay, so what we're going for is this lower area of your abdomen, not to have an angle away from your body, okay? It's really hard to hold here for long periods of time. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, and you really have to pay attention. All right, this is the last position that I want you to pay attention to for posture, and that is where your knees are. Ladies, this will be a little bit different than for men. Men, you're gonna have a little bit easier of a time because your natural posture is a little bit easier to find. So ladies' hips are wider and rounder, men's are a little bit more straight. So guys, what you're looking for is trying to find the bony points on either side of your hips here, and then you're gonna try and make sure your knees are directly below. Ladies, you're doing the same thing. The difference is your feet are probably going to be further apart than a guy's. The thing that you really want to pay attention to, when you hear people say shoulder width apart, most of the time what they're talking about is they want you to get underneath your torso and underneath your hips so that there's a straight line from your heels to your knees to your hips. So if you notice, if I'm standing with my feet closer together, my legs go in towards my knees at an angle. Now, if I go to that shoulder width apart stance, this is more what we're looking at. I know this is a little bit different of a view, but I need it in order to show you the proper positioning on a chair. So I'm going to use this chair behind me. I'm going to show you a little bit of a bonus. We need to talk about posture while you're seated, because I know a lot of you are sitting at a desk or a makeshift desk that you have at home that you obviously don't normally sit at. So we're going to talk about a couple of points there too, okay? All right, this chair is far from perfect, but I'm going to try and show you how to sit in an imperfect chair in hopes that any chair that you have, you can find the right posture. The biggest things that we talked about in standing postures ring true for sitting as well, and that is where our head and neck is positioned, our shoulders to be tucked back, and that angle at our hips, making sure that our lower abdomen is not pointing away from our body, but that it's tucked underneath. Okay, so if I'm showing that to you, this is a lot what it looks like. You'll notice my back is not actually touching the back of this chair, and that's one of the biggest problems with not having a high back chair or an adjustable back. I don't have anything to rest myself on and still be in good posture, because it's really hard to hold this posture for really long periods of time. So for upper body, those are the three things. The last thing we're going to talk about, actually scoot away from you, is the angle our knees are at. So what you're looking for, this is actually a little bit low, and I don't know if you can tell, but my legs are kind of pointed up at an angle, just a tad. When you're seated, you definitely don't want that. If anything, you want the opposite angle where they're pointed a little bit down. But really, I strive for an even like 90 degrees at the knees, so that you're seated here. This is good posture in a seated position. Both feet are flat on the floor, knees are at a 90-degree angle, my back is straight up and down, my hips are tucked underneath me, and my shoulders are back, and so is my head and neck. Okay, last postural thing that we need to talk about for the sitting position are your elbows and wrists. One of the reasons that we're paying attention to this is because of carpal tunnel. There are many other reasons, but that is the one that I run into the most, and it is very unpleasant. So the things that we're gonna talk about as far as cues are the same that we talked about for standing: earlobes away from your shoulders, elbows towards the floor. Okay, so making sure that your elbows are hanging and down as far as they can go will create that space between your earlobes and your shoulders. The next thing you want to make sure is that you are at least at a 90-degree angle, if not even bigger angle, reaching out in front of you. And the last thing is you want to make sure your wrists are straight. So sometimes that might mean you need to have something underneath your wrist. They make little like pillows that you can put there for your keyboards, right? So then you're typing this way and you've got everything hanging down as far as it can go. So if your keyboard is too high, it's going to raise your shoulders up this way and create a lot of tension up here in your neck and shoulders. That's it. That's the last one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to start doing this as a series of self-care. The next one is going to be stretching for posture, and it's going to be on the head and neck region. So we'll talk about the muscles that basically keep you out of correct posture, and if you can adjust what their neutral position is, it'll be a lot easier to keep posture. Following that, we'll do hip flexors, we'll do arms, we'll do legs. We're going to obviously do some back work as well. But on top of that, we also want to address things like movement and nutrition and sleep and hydration. So follow closely. I hope you really enjoy what's in store, because I can't wait. We're going to have a lot of great guests on, and we're looking forward to hearing any feedback you have and any questions that you want to ask. So keep us posted and stay happy and healthy.